What's going on, everyone? Yeah, it's Tyler back here, and today we're going to do some live streaming. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take your questions. We're going to talk about some topics, kind of go through some things. I'll ask some questions and stuff like that. But right now, just kind of, let me know in the comment section if you can hear me all right, if the levels are okay, if I need to turn things up, just let me know with that, and we'll keep things rolling with that. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Concepts Inc.? Good to hear from you, man. Let's see here. Midas 13, hola, back to you. And how am I doing? Any luck in getting audio of videos for future listening? Yeah, we can start off. I'll start off right there with yours, Dillard. I am this week I'm going to do some test audio to try to get like some podcast stuff put together and things like that. So I've got kind of preliminary setup that I'm going to try. I'm going to try to record kind of a separate podcast from the actual videos that I do. Hopefully that'll work out well. I don't know. Okay, good. Hear me loud and clear. Am I distorted at all, or is the audio crisp? Is it clean? Is it clear? Let me know. What you think. Oh, I'm good. Good. So let's go back and discuss about the podcast. So the podcast, what I'm looking at doing. So we might actually get some college football. Thomas, what's up, man? Good to have you here. Guys, you just keep throwing stuff out there. I'm thinking about this fall. I was thinking about following maybe some college football teams, as long as we get some college football. And so there's some teams, that I'm intrigued by. Last year, kind of one of my favorites. It was kind of like one of those darling teams. Now, granted, I'm a big Buckeye fan, and so it doesn't look like we're going to get any Big Ten football anytime soon at all. But maybe some of the other ones we might. So I was thinking maybe it might be cool to follow maybe one team maybe from each one of the conferences, and maybe let you guys do a poll, let you guys pick one from each conference. One of the darling teams for me last year was fun watching Mac Brown and the Tar Heels, watching those guys ball out. They were picked to do absolutely terrible, and they just were a bunch of ballers, and they just fought, and they were fun to watch. They were a fun, exciting team to watch. So I don't know, throw some of that stuff out there. Let's see here, comments. Look in there. Thanks, Midas. Good. I'm glad I'm sounding good. After my last comments, I think I'll just listen. Okay, cool, Thomas. Yeah, and that's, that's fine, man. I do a lot of YouTube listening in my car. Now, I know that it uses a lot more data, so I'm trying to figure out something for you guys that maybe I can, especially for you guys who are wanting a little bit more content. One of the things that's a little tough is sometimes it's hard to cut things off and not go further on down the rabbit hole with some of the stuff that's going on, and I want so much sometimes just to really dive deep into some stuff, and I feel like I can't. I feel like I will lose some people if I start really going further with that. So and I can't really live stream during the day with that. So I was thinking maybe I can get you guys maybe an hour and a half podcast, and hit topics and do it kind of like a normal sports show would do, and we can hit some of these things. So Gollum reaching out saying, have you heard of Freedom Football League? Yes, I have. They're an interesting one for me. Oh yeah, the question mark. You gotta have the question mark in there, man. Yeah, they're an interesting one for me. So they've kind of like been around for a little while, and trying to like figure them out for me has been kind of interesting. I like how they've kind of placed their teams, how they put their stuff together. It's a bunch of like ex-players, and they've got definitely got some backing from some respectable people. But the problem with them right now is that they remind me so much of the AAF
AAF and how the AAF fell apart, I'm really kind of a little skeptical. The other thing, they've been around for like for a while. It's like 4, 5, maybe 6 years, something like that. So, as I look at that, I'm kind of just, I've been kind of sitting back on it, and I know I was doing that series on the alternatives to the XFL, and that's definitely one of them. But there hasn't been a lot of movement, and obviously for obvious reasons, as we all know, there hasn't been a lot of movement on a lot of these leagues. Let me know, guys, down in these comments what you're thinking in the chat. Any of you guys excited for the spring league? Do you like the spring league? Let me know on some of these things. Dillard, any thoughts on who the new DC Defenders coach will be? I don't know. The DC, it's kind of like one of those things where you kind of want to find somebody for that market, that might be fit in that market well and I don't necessarily know if there's like, a guy that really jumps off the paper. I think that they could probably pick up, another one of those hot coordinator guys, another one of those, hot position coach guys. Something like that I think would work really well, like what they did with Pep Hamilton, kind of bring another guy in like that. I think for me, I would like to see probably more of another more offensive-minded coach. I think that the XFL is really kind of trying to focus, that kind of a realm for that. So, bring in, maybe, kind of a more higher profile offensive coordinator, maybe from college or something, stepping a guy up, something like that, or maybe, like a quarterbacks coach from somewhere. I don't really have anybody that's, stands out to me. Do you guys have any suggestions? Any of that? I definitely want Steve Spurrier in there, and if you can fit him in here. And see, here's the thing for me. This is what I would really like, and I know some of you guys have mentioned this. I want Steve Spurrier down in Florida. I really do, and I want a team in Orlando. I'm not sold on Tampa Bay. I really don't think that Tampa Bay is really the market for them right now. I think Tampa Bay is a neat market. It's an interesting market. But I would really like to see the Vipers move a little further, a little further inland, move them over there to Orlando, whatever stadium. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Put them in Orlando, get Spurrier, get Steve Spurrier there, and get him in there, get him coaching. I would love, and then just transfer Trestman over to DC. But the problem is, it's like swapping teams, and I don't necessarily know. I don't really want to do that because you kind of already made fan bases and stuff. You kind of want to stick them together. So that's kind of where I would want things to happen. Spurrier, if you could get him, bring him in, and he'd coach DC, I think that would be pretty awesome. I think you've got some opportunities there. I think you got some, like I said, you've got some guys, some coordinator position guys, some things. The thing that's nice about it is that with football, there's always kind of, that fresh crop of guys. I mean, we saw it. Guys that haven't got their shot yet, whether it be coaches or players. And the XFL was finally their shot, and they really shined. I mean, you had, tight ends. You had tight ends that stuck out. You had wide receivers that stuck out. Quarterbacks, running backs, defensive backs, some defensive linemen that really stuck out in this. So, as I'm looking at it, and then you had coaches who have stepped up through the ranks and that with it, and coaches who have revitalized their careers, and it brought the love of football back to them. So that was kind of some of the stuff for me that I think that they can find some people, and especially if they can work from these coaching trees. As you notice, they kind of started with Bob Stoops, and then they kind of worked through kind of some of his coaching tree and some of the guys he coached with. A lot of the guys in the league are guys that he's had contact with, possibly worked with, June Jones, and so you could see Trestman, you can see kind of, where they've touched these coaching trees and stuff like that. And, I could easily see him going back to some of that stuff. I think that would be great. Okay, so let's go at concepts. Do you think the surging on campuses across
this whole thing that we got going on, surging across campus across the country, will affect college football for the Big 12, for example. It's going to be interesting to see what's happening. It looks like that the college football conferences that are going to play right now are sticking their guns. They're sticking to their guns. They're going to play. I mean, you could tell. I mean, what was it that we've had teams come out and say, they had 12 guys test positive. They had X amount of guys test positive. Blah blah blah. And they're still going strong. They're still going through things. And that I don't necessarily think that that's going to change. I think that they're going to go through. I think they're going to try to go through a season unless somebody steps in and shuts them down, i.e. like governors, mayors, presidents of the schools, stuff like that. I think that that's going to be where that's going to happen. I don't see the schools shutting them down. They're looking at too much money to lose out of this whole thing, so I don't see that happening. The interesting thing for me with that, so as we're looking at the college football, for me it's not so much if we're going to have a season, are we going to have football, what's it going to look like? For me is what does this do to the future? And first and foremost, it's Notre Dame. If you look, like for instance, if you were to go to ESPN's website, Notre Dame is no longer listed as an independent on there. They're listed as part of the ACC, which is really cool. It's fascinating, and I love that they put them there. Now, if you would have asked me a couple years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, back when all of the realignment stuff was fresh, everybody was moving everywhere, you had all of this jumbling up, I would have said Notre Dame needs to get in the Big Ten. They needed to be in the Big Ten. They need to be in the Big Ten. And at the time, Notre Dame felt like a Big Ten team. But as they moved forward, the ACC needs them like none other. Right now, Clemson is just running away with the ACC, and there really isn't any big powers in there with them. And I know you could say, well, Ohio State, with the Big Ten. The Big Ten's got some powers. Year in, year out, you've got Wisconsin. You've got, Michigan. You've got Penn State. These are all teams that are in the top 10, that are living in the top 15, that work their way up into the top 5 and this and that. You've got some big programs. You don't have that right now in the ACC. So the ACC needs a top 10 Notre Dame, and so that's a huge thing. So some of this realignment stuff I think is good. I still think the Big 12 they need to get a couple other teams to where they can have some divisions and do that. And the other thing for me with all of this college football is how is this going to affect players and all this? And so, yeah, Drew, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you here too, Drew. Thanks for jumping on, and thanks to all you guys who have jumped on. We'll get back to looking at what I think of, how the college football fallout is going to be for players and things like that here. But I just want to take a second and thank all you guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for just hanging. It's been a while since I've done this live stream thing, and knock on wood, it's actually going all right so far. And so it's doing okay, and hopefully if you guys like it, maybe we'll make this a regular thing and just kind of talk and chat and have fun with it. Give me all your guys' suggestions down in the comments. We just want to hang out and have fun. I feel like just kind of felt like it was right to do that, and so with that, but I do want to just say, thanks for all you guys just watching, commenting, all the stuff. I'm super excited to finally get some football back here soon. So we'll see with what all that goes. Now, getting back into the fallout with the players, I think that you're going to start to see if they can get the XFL up, back and running. And I'll talk about, don't worry, I will get to Dillard, I'll get to your question about the chances of the 2021 XFL season. That's next. But I do want to get this point out about college football. I think you're going to start to see more and more players opting out of playing and going into the XFL. And hear me on this. I'm a guy who I worked as much as I could through college. I went full-time, went full-time student,
whether it was 12 credit hours or 18 credit hours a semester. Graduated in 4 years, and when I graduated and did it, I had no post-secondary options when I was in high school. So in high school, I wasn't able to actually take college courses. So I did the whole traditional college thing. Now, granted, I'd never lived on campus. I commuted the whole time. But I worked as much as I could. And if you ask me, if just looking at me, if I could pay for my education, and I know how much that cost me at the time, and I could make anywhere between, let's just say, $50,000 to $70,000 in 6 months of work, and do school at night, do classes at night, work the classes in between my workouts and stuff, I would have done that all day long, and I would have paid for my classes, no problem. I would have done that hands down. And if you look at it, so let's say you got a guy, he plays a couple years of college ball. He's a really good athlete. Okay, he's going into his junior year. He knows he's got one more year before he's eligible for the NFL. This is a guy who's looking like he's a stud. He's going to be able to play. All right, so the XFL goes after him, goes and gets him, and that, so what if they pay him, $300,000? The guy just tears it up in the XFL, and then moves on to the NFL draft, and goes as a high draft pick. I mean, that's where I think that this is happening, and right now there's a lot of players, especially in the Pac-12 and in the Big Ten, that right now feel, for lack of a better term, they feel like they've been abandoned, that their dreams are being put to the back burner, that what's best for them in their careers is not happening. They're not getting the opportunity that they should. They're not getting the opportunity that they were promised, and they have no say in this. I know a lot of you guys out there looking at me like, Tyler, what's the big deal? That's the real world. Trust me, I live in it. I get it. But you're seeing this to where they might opt out and just say, hey, go play in a league. And the other thing is 2021, let's talk about the XFL thing, because I know that I'm getting a little behind with things, so I apologize with the comments. But 2021 season, I think that they have to do it. Dana White agrees with me. I think that they have a timetable to do it. Now, we haven't heard anything yet, but it doesn't mean that they aren't working on things behind the scenes. It could be to where they come out, boom, announce everything, and then, before we know it, we get all this information in like 2 weeks, and everything's up and running. Meaning, we come in, let's say it's like the last week of September, and they say, we're going to have a 2021 season. Here's all of our coaches. The teams are going to be here. We're moving team here to here to here. And, we hadn't heard. And so what happens is over the next couple weeks, we don't hear anything, right? And then all of a sudden they go ahead, they do a draft of all of, the leftover players, the players that they bring in or whatever, bring in players, or they do a combine thing. They bring in players, they do that, and then get everything around. I don't know. They could easily do tryouts mid-October, do a draft in the beginning of November, and have everybody report then for training camp December, break up for the holidays, and then come back to start their their spring camp. I mean, it makes sense to do things that way. Obviously, it's not spring training. It's whatever. It's their their training time, whatever. I think it's really doable. I know there's a lot of guys that really want them to sit back. They want them to wait. The time is now with it. I really do. And we'll see what happens. I just have a hunch that by the end of the year, everything that we're dealing with is it's just going to disappear, almost like it wasn't even there. I think the holidays will take over, and that will just kind of die out. And through the holidays, things will just kind of get back to normal. And I think that we'll be poised for is a a good 2021 season. And it could be that right now that they're, the executives over at the XFL are, weighing their options, trying to see what things look like, what's the landscape look like, is it really that feasible for them to actually pull off a 2021 season? I don't know. Hopefully we'll hear something soon. I know we've been sitting on kind of the same information for about a week and a half. And for us, that sounds like forever without a lot of information. But for them, to get up to speed on a company in a week and a half, I mean, that's a short timeline, and to start making big bold decisions in that short of a time, it is kind of tough. So I mean, I see it from both sides. All right, so let's kind of move on. What's up, chat? What's up, Drew? America will not let this stop football, period. Much love from Portland. Dude, man, didn't know that you're out there. I feel for you out there. Hopefully you're staying safe inside and hopefully away from all of the craziness that's going on out there. But, man, love to have you here. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you've been part of this community, too. All of you guys that are commenting. Let's see here. Let's keep moving. All right, Isaiah Harris, nice to have you, man. How do you feel about teams in the XFL using baseball and soccer stadiums? I think it's a fantastic idea. That's where I think they need to be. The thing about soccer stadiums, they're really interesting. So the MLS has to, their stadiums have to be to a specific dimension built. They have to be built to FIFA dimensions, and that so the stands have to be set up a specific way. And the whole point of it is that the idea is so that the fan has a certain angle that they can see with it. So the stands have to be a certain way and things of that nature. But they are smaller. They're smaller stadiums. They're smaller ballparks, however you want to put it. Now, some of the ballparks, it would be kind of a little wonky to get a football field in there. But most of them, you can get a football field in there. I think that's a great idea. I think that they need to do more of that. I think that they were a little ambitious on a couple fronts. They really wanted to be there in MetLife. There was ties there to MetLife, whether it be Gilbride or whether it be McMahon wanting to be there. And I think that was just way too big of a space for them. The fans felt dwarfed in there, even though they did have a decent showing with fans in New York. You just didn't know it. And they were actually pretty crazy fans and had a lot of fun from what I saw on TV and what I heard from people. But they needed just to be in a space that was just would better suit them. Red Bull is kind of the place that I've been kind of putting out there, which is a soccer arena. I think it was great. DC, they did a really good job with their soccer arena. I thought that was great, the way that they played there. Tampa Bay, moving to Orlando, put them anywhere there in Orlando. Orlando will support the team. Same thing in San Antonio. San Antonio will support the team, especially if they're a decent team. San Antonio will support them. They supported the AAF really, really well. So, but yeah, get these stadiums, and some people have thrown there with Seattle. Seattle did a really good job of in CenturyLink. It was really looking like they were. I mean, they were projecting somewhere their next home game. I think it was 40,000 people or something, which is 2/3 full of that place. I mean, it was really crazy. They were looking to sell out in St. Louis. Things were looking well in both of those markets for both those teams. I mean, the cities really fell in love with them. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's a great idea. Thanks, Isaiah. Let's see here. Drew's another thing. You're a great speaker, Tyler. I've always thought you flow. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Not everybody does. But, when you've done over 200-some videos, you do get better over time. Not great. You get better, though. I appreciate that, though. Thank you. Sometimes when you're on this side of the screen, it really does help, especially those people that, I've never met in person, to have that affirmation, to have that encouragement from you guys. You hear me say it in the comments and you see that, and I'm not just doing lip service to it. I really do appreciate that, because there are those trolls and those people. And, as you go on, you learn to brush it off, but sometimes it still is a downer, especially on you have your days in that. So I do appreciate that a lot. You don't understand what that means to me. So thank you, Drew. see here. Let's move on. Darian Dixon, talk more about XFL 3.0. Let's see here, and the relocation of the teams, 2021 through 2023. Okay. Jeremy, what's up, XFL fans? I will get to that here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm thinking JP Walker's going to be QB number 2. He's doing well in training. Yeah, he from what I've seen and heard, he's doing really well. I never pray for an injury, but I know if Teddy didn't deliver, PJ would step up. Dude was raw musty. Totally agree with it. Isaiah gave it thumbs up as well. Let's see. He's been throwing nice deep balls, tight coverage at camp. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's go back to relocation of teams, and I said that in the video, and so this is just going to be regurgitation for some of you guys. You already know. Seattle, St. Louis, stick. I think they're good markets. They're good places there. DC, I think you stick. They're the people rallied around is good. New York, you keep them in New Jersey. That's right, New Jersey fans, you heard me. I'm still going for I want them to move them to Red Bull, and I want them to rename them the New Jersey Guardians. I think that would fit perfect, and I think that would be the place. The question, I want you guys to answer it for me down, because I'm not an East Coast guy. I don't know how that is. I'm a Midwesterner, hillbilly of sorts. So let me know if New Yorkers will root for the team if they change the name to New Jersey. That's what I want to know, because that's the biggest thing there is, do you think that they'll lose fans? Because I really want them to change the name. I think that would really differentiate themselves as well. Instead of being New York like everything else, they could be New Jersey. That would be great. So you have them. Let's go ahead and then let's kind of shift things down then. So you've got St. Louis. Let's just go with the East. St. Louis, you got to keep where they're at. Everything's great there. New York, we talked about. DC, you keep them there with that. Let's move down to Tampa. Now, Tampa, I think you move to Orlando. I don't really see anything else really happening there with the whole Tampa Bay thing. It's just they really had a decent showing, but I think that those fans will follow you over to Orlando, and I think that you'll get more fans from Orlando, and that you can really build a fan base. Meaning, they were getting 14 to 17,000 people a game there, and the stadium was just a little large. And I know that Camping World's a larger stadium, but I think if you combine the fans from Tampa Bay, the people that you got there, and that would stick with the team, and then you move them to Orlando, get the Orlando fans. I think you can get that up to around 25, 30,000 people just by the move there. So move the market there. All right, let's go look at the West. Now, I said, Seattle, leave them where they're at. I think that it's good. I think that it's great. Houston, you leave them where they're at. I know that they're, 17,000 people, roughly around 20,000 people. They're not really filling up that stadium, but stadium's fine. It's a good place for them. People in Houston were rallying around the Roughnecks. They liked the Roughnecks, and I think the Roughnecks were doing well. You don't really do anything with them. You leave them there. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about Dallas. I think that you move Dallas, and I know a lot of people wanted Dallas to stay there. That Global Life was kind of an expensive place for them, and it was a place to where they were getting fans, but they weren't really getting, I don't think, the Dallas population that they thought that they might get. So where I think the move to San Antonio would be a really good move for them. I don't think you just put a team in San Antonio. I think you're gonna divide your fan bases up too much. You can have two teams in in Texas. But when you start really dividing Texas up too early, I think that's what you're going to run into. You move the guys, move the Renegades over to San Antonio. You're going to pick up San Antonio fans, and you're going to also bring on, the diehards, the guys that are still there with Dallas. So that's what I say. That's how I look at it. Now, let's go ahead, and LA is one that's really interesting to me. I think that you've got a couple options here. You can go with the solid route and just say, let's move them to San Diego. It would fit. It would be easy. Just do that. Move them there. No problem. However, I think the interesting thing is that let's move them for 2021. Let's go to Oakland. Oakland, I think that they could do a decent amount in the stadium. You bring all the fans from LA over. You add some fans from the Oakland area. And I think that it'll be really nice in that, and I think you can bolster that 12,000 to 15,000 fans, get that up more around probably somewhere around 20,000 fans. Be able to fit them in a decent sized building there, have some really good football for them. The LA Wildcats, the kind of moss in them. I mean, that kind of fits that kind of whole Oakland kind of a thing. You save San Diego. Now, 2022, 2023, this is what I look at. Depending upon how well the season does. Let's say the season projection does like what they did with 2020. Things are looking better than what they thought. They're projecting higher. They're looking at expansion to do that. So you bring on two teams. We already know that Birmingham wants a team. They want it bad. You give them a team. You bring in a team, and I think that's easy. Nice, easy move. You gain a fan base there. I think that you've also got an opportunity there in San Diego to bring in a fan base, to bring a team there. I think that it's good. I really do think that they need to hit up the Ohio market. If you looked at the TV ratings in Ohio were through the roof. Now, part of that was part of Cardell Jones and being a Buckeye and that with it. But Ohio loves their football. You get them a football team in Ohio, I think it'll work. Especially for, if you have them, if you can, there really aren't any good indoor places in Ohio. And if you know of any actual football indoor places where you can pack in about 30,000 people, you let me know. I just don't really know where there's that place. But I think if, you can get in Columbus and get away from you can get away from the lake effect, get away from the river down in Cincinnati. Get them in Columbus. The people will go to the games, and if you like have the first couple games, away games, to where you can get more to March, you can get in that 40-degree weather. I mean, we didn't have any issues with DC playing games and New York playing games at home. It was perfectly fine. So I think that works out all right. Let's keep moving on, but I think that. Columbus would be the next place, and that's where I would end for through 2023. From there on out, I would look at starting to franchise teams. That's just kind of my thoughts. All right, where are we at? Concepts. What do you think about the viewership on ESPN and NBA ratings dropping 40%? Here's one of the things. I've tried to keep politics out of this channel, and that with it. But you can't help, the NBA has gone full on politics. I don't like it. I think that the way that they've handled themselves and the way they've done it is irresponsible. And it's showing. People don't like that. When you start throwing your politics down people's throat when they want to just watch a basketball game or a football game, I don't really care what it is. They're not going there for any of it. It's going to show. And when you throw it in their face and paint it like the biggest thing on your court, and that's all you talk about, your biggest star, that's all he talks about, you're going to tick some people off. And I think that they're starting to see what their fan base was and what their fan base isn't anymore. I like basketball. I don't love basketball. I don't necessarily have to have basketball. I don't have to have football. But football is my first sports passion with that. I like basketball. I liked watching NBA basketball. But I can tell you where they're sitting, where they're going with it, I'm not watching. Period. I haven't turned on a playoff game. I haven't paid attention to it. Haven't looked up scores on ESPN. I just don't care. When you're going to act like that, that's what's going to happen. That's how I feel. And I'm not going to try to throw my political views on any of it in there. when you act like that, you're gonna get that, and that's what it is. So yeah, like I said, I don't really want to go there but it's like everybody in today's day is going there. And it's so frustrating for me because, like, I'm not one that's necessarily against talking politics, but I just want to get away from it. Can't we just have it used to be that you had two things that you could talk to anybody. If you sat down next to another dude and you guys are waiting there on your wives, sitting there on the bench, you knew you could talk about the weather and you could talk about the sports, i.e. the Buckeyes in Ohio. You just knew that you had those things that you could talk to guys about. And it's like you can't even talk about those things anymore because everybody's got to have their political view and put that out there in front of everybody. And the other thing is it's like, and you got me on a tangent, which, whatever, I'm already starting to get fired up. We might as well just go there. The thing with it is that I'm, so let's say I do this. All right, I've got this great cause, and I just decide that, you know what, I'm just going to protest today. You know what's going to happen to my sorry butt? I'm going to get fired. It's just, go protest on your own time. There are charities, there are causes that I support. I don't do it during my day job, on my employer's dime. I don't do that. No, what you do is you do it on the weekends. You do it on your days off. You do it in your, on your nights and that. And, to do that and in that. The other thing for me, and I might be totally off with you, which is totally fine. I have a hard time with the the whole protesting during the flag thing, and I'm sorry if I turn off some of you guys, and whatever, I don't have, there isn't that much of a viewership here anyways, so I'm just gonna put that out there. The whole kneeling thing, I think it's just a travesty. I don't think they understand what's going on in that time. One of the statements that I heard that I thought was pretty good, and it sums up things pretty well. Those who kneel during the anthem have never received a folded flag, i.e. they've never had a loved one that has, given the ultimate sacrifice. And that's what that's there for. It's to honor those people that gave us the freedoms to have these entertainments, to have the sports, to have all that stuff. And for us to kneel and disrespect that bothers me, regardless of what you're kneeling for. It would be the same thing as if I would go in front of, Chick-fil-A and I'm protesting. I'm protesting Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It's just the two don't line up. And to boot, I leave my place of work during work hours and go to protest it. I don't get that. And I just wish, again, our sports, I don't watch you on sports for your political prowess or, where to get my, my vision for, how I should do, my politics or my social views or, any of that or my religious or spiritual, affiliations. I don't do that. I watch you for sports. Now, are you allowed to have your opinion? Yes. I'm allowed to have my opinion. But, when I'm doing a job, that's my job to do my job. And when your job is to do your job, you do your job. And then after you're off the clock, you do whatever you want. That's totally fine. I don't know. I might have turned a whole bunch of you guys off, so I apologize, but I got kind of rolling. Let's see here. Got the name of the new podcast, Breaking the Action Podcast. Yeah, it works, man. I appreciate that. Let me know, too, guys, if you guys would be interested in, me switching up and doing some different content. I've, as you can tell, I've been pretty fed up with sports, and that's why I haven't really done a whole lot but talk about the XFL. The XFL's been fairly quiet. I know there have been a few comments made by The Rock, and I'm trying to be gracious throughout all this and choosing my words wisely and not be somebody who is just going to rant and rave and be mad and upset about everybody else without knowing the facts. I want to know the facts. I want to be informed before I make decisions, before I say things. And also in areas where I'm not an expert, I kind of want to back off unless it's an area of opinion. And we've just become a society where you can't have an opinion anymore without somebody canceling you or putting you down. It's just it's very, very frustrating. Oklahoma Vipers laugh out, whatever. It's kind of funny. Orlando Vipers sounds much better anyway. Yeah, I like the name. I think keep the Vipers. It's good. Keep all this stuff. I think it'll fly. Shrill TV, nice to have you. Cool. Glad you're here. Who else we got going on here? Sorry, trying to keep up, guys. Too cold in Ohio. Oh, come on, man. It'll be fine. I think just enjoy it. You just got to get used to it. Let's see here. Golem64, do you think an OG XFL team should come back? OG. What's OG? Sorry about that. San Antonio over Dallas, and I live in Dallas. Yep. Totally agree. XFL was very good competition, and PJ made everyone look amateur. PJ just was talented, and that's the thing with some of these guys. You're going to notice that when one of the things was a big thing with the XFL is you got guys that just never got a shot. And when the lights are on and the game's on the line, I'm not talking about preseason. I'm talking about when the game is on the line. The preseason, it's all about making sure you do what you're supposed to at your position so that you can make the team. It has nothing to do with about winning the game. But when the game is on the line and you're there in that, you're either a baller or you're not. And PJ's a baller, and you saw that. And it might not always stand out in practice, but when you got a guy who's balling, practice, he's going to start now getting the starter reps and all that stuff. But if you've got, let's say, you've got $4 million wrapped up in this quarterback, and he's the quarterback that you drafted, your butt's on the line because you're the head coach. You've got to make this guy work unless something really bad happens to where the second string guy and the third string guy are never going to get a chance. And two, listen, PJ Walker was behind Andrew Luck, who in all means should be starting, was a starter. PJ Walker might have been a guy that could have started on some other teams, but you just don't know because teams like to hoard players in the NFL. They do it all the time with the practice squad. They hoard quarterbacks on the practice squad. Nobody else gets a chance at a quarterback. They find a guy that they like, a diamond in the rough, but they've got their guy there. They try to keep him. So, you have that. All right, LA to Oakland would be great. Thomas, agree with you there. Let's see here. Let's keep moving. Drew, don't talk politics. I mean, it's an escape for most of us. We all have hard times, and sports is a place for us all. Thank you. Good night. Hollywood needs to learn that. I don't go to watch a movie and you show me how, the struggle, the struggle of the person in that. I live that. We all, the regular person, live the grind. Can't I just have a stinking hero movie or a action movie where you blow a bunch of crap up? Or, you got guys flying around with lightsabers and stuff like that. Like, I'm a dude. That's what I want to watch. Or give me some, heroic story where they rise from the ashes and all this stuff. And if it's a good story and that with it, I don't care if it's a woman lead or anything like that. Like, quit throwing your politics at me and just make a good movie with a good story and give us something entertainment, enjoyable, uplifting, hopeful, instead of this down in the dumps downer stuff. It just drives me nuts. It's like you can tell just how disconnected our, Hollywood is, and now our sports stars, just how disconnected they are from the regular people. It's terrible. I'll play dollars to see Chris Sims and Florio wearing XFL gear. Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. Those guys drive me nuts. I totally agree with you, concepts. It just won't be the same without fans. And they're trying. They're trying, and it's just not working. It's not going well for sports. There's just something about having fans in the stands. There definitely is. And they've tried these different things where they've got guys up on these boards, and they're watching so you can see their faces and their reactions and that and stuff. None of it's like having butts in the seats. You got to have the butts in the seats. Yeah, I don't watch the NBA anymore either. Me either. Man, concept. All you guys at Ohio's a bit too cold. What about New York? What about what about DC? Come on, guys. You got to give me a little love. I think he means the old school XFL. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the old school XFL. Go back here. Do you think an old school XFL team should come back? No. I did a video. You'll check it out. Where I ranked the worst ones, and I went through and did a tournament on what I thought were the worst looking XFL original teams. They're all terrible. Don't bring any of them back. Just whoever they had do the logos and all the stuff for the teams that they have right now. Let them do it again. It was fantastic. Thanks. I appreciate that, Thomas. It was refreshing to hear. Tyler shoots it straight, and the chat appreciates it. I love seeing how you put your pool together. Hey, yeah, that was one of those things, the pool. It was funny. So, we were probably about 3/4 of the way done with the pool, and we're I'm a guy who's, been doing video stuff for forever, for a while. I did video and dabbled with it, and I've done audio for years, and I did video stuff for a couple years before I even started YouTube, and I was about 3/4 of the way through, I'm I should have just set up a camera and done time lapse with this. I could have set up my phone on a tripod, and people would have watched it. I don't know, maybe that So I could give you guys a little bit more behind the scenes. So I'm kind of more of a DIYer. I kind of do a lot of stuff on my own. So my car, it's nothing to call home about. It's a 2008 Mercury Milan. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty much just a Ford Fusion. The motor blew in it. I threw a rod. And so we ripped the motor out of the junkyard. So I installed the motor at 150,000 miles. And then at about 200,000 miles, the transmission went out in it. So I went up, pulled a transmission off of a junkyard car. We put it in it. And I've been running it for about 20,000 miles that way. I just did the brakes this past weekend on it. I do all sorts of stuff. Went through, had to we had issues with our dryer. Our dryer kind of went out. Had to buy some parts with it. Put it together. Pretty much my house. So before we moved into our house that we have here, I'm in the basement right now. I built that. Behind me, the desk that I'm at that you see, I built this desk. The pool, I should have done a time lapse of that stuff. And maybe, I don't know, you guys give me your thoughts. Maybe I should start a DIY channel and start doing time lapses of this stuff, and get some more of my buddies that help me do some of these DIY things. I got a group of guys that I do stuff with. I'm kind of getting into things again. I've been a big Jeep guy. I've had 3 Jeep Cherokees. I fell in love with it. I bought a 95 Jeep Cherokee. I always thought I wanted a CJ7. So any of you Jeep guys out there, that's the pre-Wrangler. And so I always wanted a Wrangler. And then I bought a Jeep Cherokee and XJ. I fell in love with it. And then some girl pulled out in front of me during finals week and totaled my Jeep. I ended up getting it. So I went from a 95 to a 2000. And I tried to get the newest one I could because at the time they'd already discontinued them, went on to Liberties. And then I kind of went from there. I've always been a huge Mustang guy as well. I've had 2 different Mustangs. I had a 89 Fox body that just had a 4-cylinder in it. And then I had a 92 convertible, and that had 5.0 in it. And it was fun. It was total ghetto, and it was kind of funny too. So, it was midnight blue. It was a gorgeous color, and it like the windows were heavy tinted, and it had a black top, and I had wire wheels with a big spoke in the middle, low profiles on them, fat tires. Oh, it was a gorgeous car, and so I had. I didn't have straight pipes out the back. I had turn downs on it, and the thing sounded great. I got pulled over all of the time, and it was funny, right? So, cop would pull me over, and I wasn't speeding or anything like that. And as soon as I rolled down the window, he'd kind of give me kind of like a double take, not expecting this white kid to be in this car, right? And so and then he'd be like, oh well, ask me where I'm going, all of this and that, and I would tell him, pull out my license, this and that, and then it was always the you should check your brake lights, or you should check your license plate light, it's out, and I'd always go home, it's not out, and they would just tell me, have a good night, this and that, and it was just I had to I knew when I was kind of on the road, I had to watch my speed because I was, it is what it is, with that. And, I don't necessarily, that type of car is going to get that. But anyways, and so now I currently, so I had 2 Mustangs. I've had 3 Cherokees. So I had 2 old XJs. And then I currently have a 2016 75th anniversary Cherokee. Love it. Great car, and that's my wife's main car. I let her drive the nice one, and I drive the the older thing. But I'm looking at getting a project car, project Jeep, getting another XJ, and just building it up. Been getting back into cars since we haven't had sports, with that. So let's get back to the chat here. I apologize, guys. I'm going off tangents, but hey, just love talking about things. Man, nobody likes Ohio. This is terrible. Let's see here. Yeah, I kind of feel your pain there with Hollywood. Hollywood's trash. Cobra Kai, is that any good? Should I watch it? It looked cool. And again, one of my wife's favorite movies is the original Karate Kid. She likes all of them, but really the original Karate Kid. With that, I don't know. Let me know, guys. Should I watch it? What about Boston? I think Boston would kind of be okay. I don't know if I would say right now, I would say if, you get to 2023, 2024, I really would start to see if I think you just need to start franchising teams out. I really do believe that the XFL can make a name for themselves. And I think that they could really get talented guys in there that aren't going to be your traditional prototypical style of NFL players. Guys that can come in. If the XFL can do well, I don't see why a guy would bat an eye at coming to the XFL. You pay him $2 million a year, and he's your starting quarterback, and that's what he's going to be, in that with it. And you just build the XFL, and to where the XFL's kind of in that place where TCU was, where. TCU was kind of in the conversation before they moved to the Big 12. They were kind of in the conversation of they're definitely a really, really good football program, but they're not
Power 5. We'll see what they would do when they get in there and they actually beat some teams and trounce some teams. I think that you could get the XFL there, meaning like they might not be where the NFL is, but the conversations would be like, do you think that the I don't know. Let's just throw out the Dragons. You think that the Dragons are the best team in the league, right? Or for you let's use Battlehawks for you, all you Battlehawk fans out there. You can call in down in the chat. But, do you think the Battlehawks could beat the Bengals, and have conversations like that with it? I think that you could get the XFL to there in about 5-6 years, especially if people start watching again. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. People are like, well, the XFL, their ratings, they went down. Their ratings were falling every week. Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. You have the initial surge. People are always going to check things out. They're curious. You're going to have people kind of go away. The other thing, too, is that it was mid-season. Mid-season, they put the games on the smaller stations. So you're not going to have the viewer exposure that you would if they were on the major networks like they were for the first few weeks, or they were on ESPN. The main cable station. And so when you put them on FS2 and when you put them on ESPN2, that's what's going to happen. But the thing that's crazy that nobody talks about is that on average, over the weekend, there's no other sports that's doing as well. NBA ain't doing as well. College football, on average, is not doing as well. NHL is not doing as well. You can't name one that's doing better. So when that argument is farce, when you ask me, it's just ridiculous. So let's move on here. Let's see here. They don't want fans. They know they will boo. The kneeling, that is true. I don't know if you guys paid attention to the MLS, like. People are just so disconnected with where America is at, where the people are. Like I said, it's like they're like Hollywood and sports right now just have this disconnect with where we are. Like us as, fans, real people, all those commercials. These are not actors. These are real people. Well, it's just showing you, okay, that makes sense because, definitely I agree. Actors aren't real people. And that just kind of shows. But, yeah, I mean, the MLS players, they kneeled and the fans booed them. And they were appalled that the fans booed them. And, I'm like, I don't know. I think that the fans are more on you than you. MLB is boring. Yeah, no. It's for a different type of fan. It's definitely it's a different type of fan to where usually your prototypical football fan and your basketball fans really don't translate well to baseball. And you've got your diehard baseball fans. I love my Indians. The whole thing that's going on right now in MLB is frustrating me as well. I have not put any stock in the MLB. I think it's ridiculous. Again, I don't know. I think a lot of like athletes have lost their minds throughout all of this stuff, and they need to just get back to playing sports and get their heads out of everything else. It's like people are going crazy. They people are saying stupid things, doing stupid things because everybody's been locked up at home. Other people need to go back to work. The nice thing for me is I haven't stopped going to work. Like I literally go into work every day, and have been. But you can definitely tell there's a lot of people that need to get back to work, and there are bigger things to talk about than a lot of this silliness. Green Bay is a freezer, so they can play football there. That can play football in Ohio. Thank you. I appreciate that, Thomas. Appreciate that. Midrake, glad to have you. Date. I apologize. I'm terrible with names. Let's see here. If the XFL stands for national anthem, they will be on. They will get a large sum of people watching. The thing for me, and I didn't do a video on it because I've been the NFL's kind of ticked me off, so I've stayed away from this. And I don't really know a lot about the CFL to go off with the whole Eskimos thing. But dropping the Redskins for me, I just thought was asinine. And
And the teams never give us, the fans, an opportunity to support them. What happened is that they were going to have their big-time sponsors pull out. And I'm a Cowboys fan. Let's see here. You can see right up there. And I can tell you that I would have supported the Washington Redskins had they have kept their name. And I know a bunch of you guys out there would have too. That's the thing. Is like, give us fans an opportunity to support you, stand up for what you believe. Like, when did it become derogatory? I don't understand. Like, I've always thought, let me know your opinion. I always thought that, like, if something's named after you, that, like, that's that's an honor when it's a sports team. I know there are other things that it's not necessarily an honor to be named after, but specifically talking a sports team, like, that's an honor. When you're naming it after something, it's showing pride in something. It's showing that with it. And, around that whole Washington, D.C. history, there is a deep Native American heritage there. And it was just ridiculous to me, and that with it. And I think that the NFL is just jumped the shark with all that crap for me. And so that's why you hear me refer to them as the no fun league. I really feel like that right now. And really the only reason why guys are actually playing in the NFL is because they can make money in the NFL. If they could go somewhere else and I think do it, they might. So, or I don't, let's see here. I'm not saying that it's cold for football in Ohio, just simply that it's cold. Yeah, Ohio's cold. People watch anything you do, man. If I'm here cleaning or chilling, it's better to watch real people than a fake sitcom. Yeah, some people might agree with you, some might not. Never... let's see here. Oh, hold on. It's jumping on me. I apologize. Cobra Kai, it's awesome. Cool. Cedar Point, you got to love Cedar Point, man. Yeah, that's where it's crazy. I've got, like, ties to, like, Cedar Point. So when I was growing up, we had season passes to Cedar Point. My parents grew up in Port Clinton, and my grandparents lived in Port Clinton, and tons of family around the whole Sandusky area. Grandpa worked up in Sandusky, so we went to Cedar Point all of the time. My wife's mother and her father, so my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, that's where they met, at Cedar Point. My brother did a couple of stints of internship and also working in summer there at Cedar Point. So yeah, Cedar Point definitely, man, is a great place. And if you haven't had an opportunity, there's no place on earth like it to just have fun riding rides. It's not Disneyland. It's not going to be that, like, blow your mind with, like, all of this, showmanship, all of the stuff with your eyes. I mean, Disney World, Disneyland are just eye candy. Everything you go, waiting in line is better than some attractions at some other places. But if you seriously just are seeking that thrill ride, there's no better place like Cedar Point. There really isn't. Let's see here. It was a great series. Cool. I'll have to check it out. Do you think the XFL will make great video if EA is not making it? Are you talking about video game? Yeah. Video game. Oh, great to have you here, Viper. Appreciate it too. Tyler, Boston Minutemen's is a good name for football. I like that they stay away from making anything resemblance of anything else, like i.e. like Patriots or anything like that. I like the name Minutemen. I don't like when you have teams that almost, you could say, oh, well, they're mocking off of this. I don't like that. Has The Rock released any of his plans? No. We've got nothing for the future of the XFL. Everything's speculation right now, which is kind of nice because you can keep doing videos on speculation, but no. Yes, the best versus the worst. They say that about college basketball. Can the winner of the championship beat the worst team in the NBA? Probably I'll laugh out loud. It's fun to think about. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I think that the XFL can get itself credible enough to do that. I mean, that's what they did with the AFL. That's how the NFL and the AFL merger happened, because it started with those conversations, and, the AFL started anteing up money and buying players and getting players to come over. And you know what? They put things together, and they finally beat the NFL when they actually put everything down to paper. And the rest is history. That's a really neat one, and it's up on YouTube if you ever want to watch how they did that. That was pretty cool. With that, yes. Let's see here. I hope the Guardians move to New Jersey. What do you think? Yeah, I hope they do too. They're in New Jersey already. MetLife. MetLife is in New Jersey, but move them to Red Bull, which is still in New Jersey. Call them the New Jersey Guardians. I'm with all you New Jerseyers, or I don't know how you pronounce that. Whatever you say, whatever. I'm in your camp. I'm in your boat. I'm with you guys. All right, try to keep moving down this chat here. I'd rather watch cricket than MLB. Dude, I don't know if I could put up with... I can't do the marathon that cricket is. Top 10 backup QBs for the XFL. A good little video. I'm starting a new video series. I'm hoping to try to get it out in the next couple of days or so, depending upon how long we stay here on the chat. Maybe I don't know. We'll hold on the chat here. If I can get the video out, I'm trying something new, something different. That's going to be along those lines. So hopefully you'll like it. And that. So, Isaiah, be paying attention. Let's see here. Go Cowboys. Been my team since I was a kid. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Going back to the whole Washington thing, I would have rooted for him. I would have stuck up for the team had he had done that, and I think thousands of others would have, and they would have been just fine. But you never give any people an opportunity. And the other thing is that drives me absolutely nuts. It's like, around here in Ohio, we've got the diehard Cleveland Browns fans. It's like, you still have those guys that no matter what they can't live without it. And I'm like, my morals are going to outweigh any stupid football game. Like I said, I'm getting back into cars just because I'm sick and tired of putting up with all the crap I have to watch a dang sports event. Like, I just want to sit down and watch some sports and then, talk with a bunch of guys about it and what our thoughts are, what we thought, hang out. I can't do that anymore. It's like, so I've got kind of like, gone over to, cars and stuff. And that was one of the things I'll tell you. And again, I'm going on another tangent, but I don't really care. Some of you guys like this stuff. When we were in Gatlinburg, I didn't realize that it was, and I didn't know anything about it. It was the Jeep invasion weekend, and I didn't take any pictures, and I should have. It was stupid. You see a Jeep going down the road, whether it be a Wrangler or whatever, and the thing's jacked up, and it's got a nice 3-inch lift on it. Running some 35s or whatever. Like, dude, these things were insane. They had custom fabrication on them. Custom bumpers, custom roll cages. They've got 5-inch lift kits on them. Their cars are wrapped. They've got custom, paint jobs, LEDs everywhere. American flags flying off of the back of them. It was fantastic. And they're just driving down the Gatlinburg Strip or in Pigeon Forge down the Strip. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And remember, I've been looking for a Jeep now. And so now I'm just like I'm like so chomping at the bit to get another Jeep and to do that. Let's see here. Haha, Tyler, 30 years ago, if you were an Indian, most likely you rooted for some team related to your heritage. Yeah, no. And the funny thing is that they do these polls, and Native Americans don't have a problem at all with the name Redskins or the name Indians with Cleveland Indians. Like, it's ridiculous. They're trying to get rid of the Cleveland Indians. Nothing more than when they switched from using Chief Wahoo to that stupid C. I still look at that stupid C, right? And I'll go through to, on a sports website and I'm looking for the Indians. And of course, I always look for Chief Wahoo. I don't look for a stupid, weird C. There's enough teams that use a C for their logo. And I don't like the C. I think it's stupid. And,
And when they told everybody they were going to quit using Chief Wahoo in all of their, their branding and all this and that, everybody went out and bought up all the Chief Wahoo stuff they could. I mean, I've still got hats that I haven't wore that have Chief Wahoo on it. Why? Because everybody loved it. That's what they wanted. It just is ridiculous. And the same thing came out with the even the CFL with getting rid of the name of the Eskimos. It was like 54% of people wanted them to keep the name and like the name. And I get it. To all of you guys out there that are Canadian CFL fans, it is an offensive term to some people. But here in the United States, when it comes to term like Indians and Native Americans, it was like overwhelmingly in all of these polls, they don't care. So, I don't know. Again, I'm going back on the same stuff. The PGA is doing great because they don't do the political stuff. It's the truth. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, people want sports. People love sports, and they love to do that. But they don't want politics thrown down their throat, and it shows. I helped design some of the roller coasters at Cedar Point. Hey, man, which ones did you? Yeah, Kurt, let me know which ones you did. That would be really, really cool. So they're good friends of ours. They live in Sandusky, so it's my cousin's in-laws. So it would be my dad's sister's daughter, so it'd be my cousin. Her husband's mom still works at Cedar Point. She works in the offices and stuff like there. So we still have ties to Cedar Point and everything. So yeah, it would be pretty cool. Dude, what's up, Roberto? Glad to have you, man. Glad you could show up. I think I'm going to stay on here. If you guys are okay, maybe we'll hit up about 20 more minutes or so. Talk about it. They have all these characters in wrestling. So here's the thing, and I know we're missing probably the NXT Championship, which looks like a one heck of a battle. It should be a fun match. And from what I hear, the WWE's getting better. It's hard for me to just do videos on it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some of you guys would like to hear my thoughts on if I did a live stream during either like AEW's Dynamite or during SmackDown. It is starting to intrigue me a little bit. There for a while, WWE was garbage bad. I mean, good night. I watched whatever it was. It was the Hell in the Cell with the Fiend and Seth Rollins. Can't stand Seth Rollins. But anyways, like soon all sports teams are going to change names. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to start calling them like, the sports teams. Yeah, I love it. Jason, glad to have you here. But yeah, we're going to have to be like, it's, the Washington football players against the New England humans. I mean, everything's going to have to be so dang PC because, we're worried about, now we're going to be worried about if we're, how do cows feel? Or, bears really, really don't like the bad press and, that bad persona that's put on them. Not all bears are as bad as what you're making them out to be as this terrible, violent football team. I mean, that's kind of where our society is going with some of this stuff. Thanks. I was watching NXT. Yeah, I don't know. So back to the whole wrestling thing. I might get back into it. I don't know. Would some of you guys be interested in maybe me having like the TV right here and just doing my own commentary and what my thoughts are on it? Are you going to ruin it, Finn Balor? Well, don't watch the chat. Roberto put it in the chat. It looks like we've got a neat matchup for the title next week. That's kind of cool the way that they did that. That's pretty cool. I don't know. Roberto, who do you think ends up with it? Finn Balor or Michael Cole? I mean, Adam Cole. I want to say Michael Cole. He's the announcer. Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole's a really good talent. I think he needs to bulk up.
He's a little too small for both him and Finn Balor. I think that they're both great talents. I think that they need to really switch NXT. So I can't think of the guy's name who was the NXT champ, and then he just lost, and then they moved him to main roster. They need to just make NXT. They're trying to do that, but they need to just make NXT just like they're their own brand. There's no main roster thing, and just do that with it. I think that it would be better, and have guys, like the Adam Coles, the Finn Balors, the guys like that there, who aren't the big, the big guys like your Drew McIntyres and, your big shows, your stuff like that. So, let's see here. Top Thrill Dragster, nice. Skyhawk, the Swing, Millennium Force, Maverick, all good there. The company I work for also did the Magnum, nice. With the XL 2000 is the Magnum. Iron Dragon's good, and the Power Towers. The Power Towers are they were kind of neat. Not huge. So one of my favorite rides ever, and it was kind of hokey ride, but they got rid of it. It wore down, and that was indoor ride. It was the Disaster Transport. I don't know if any of you guys remember the Disaster Transport. The Disaster Transport was pretty fun. It just was cool inside. It was kind of like had that Star Wars-y feel. It was kind of like that worn down space feel, and I think that they made it kind of off of like Star Tour, Star Wars type of thing. It was kind of like Space Mountain. And it was like my favorite ride just because of how cool it was inside. It wasn't very fast. It wasn't really, anything. I mean, you couldn't see a whole lot in there, so you really couldn't see where you were going with it because it was kind of dark. So that was kind of cool. Probably my favorite ride there is the Raptor's smooth. It's fun. It's loop-de-loop. It's good. Corkscrew's kind of a neat one. Like the Mean Streak, the reason why it's a mean streak because it jerks the heck out of you. It beats the snot out of you. That wooden roller coaster. Gemini's okay. But yeah, that's sweet, man, that you've been worked on all that stuff. That's really, really cool. What did you do, if you don't mind me asking? Putting it together. Let's see here. Hey, welcome, Chris. Glad to have you, man. Yeah, the NBA kind of does suck right now. Yep, Finn Balor. I kind of hope Finn Balor does because Adam Cole had it for just so long. It would be nice to have and see Finn Balor do it, even especially with the guy coming back to NXT. I think that would be good. Gotta go. It's been great. Hey, thanks, Thomas. I understand, man. Listen, you gotta go. Totally understand. What about the QB? You're gonna have to give me a little bit more on that. Amador, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more on that one, man. I apologize. What QB? Adam Cole is the son of Michael Cole. Really? I did not know that. I really didn't know that. Thanks. I learned something new every day. Thanks, Roberto. I appreciate that. Keith Lee. Yes. Yeah, they're just Keith Lee. Yeah. I think that they need to stop doing that. Like where a guy loses and like that's his promotion. It's like you lose one week and then the next you show up on the main roster. Like we get it that it's like a promotion thing, but it just doesn't look good for that. XFL should buy the old AAF as well. No. The thing, okay, so Chris, I totally get what you're saying, and I know that there are a lot of guys that love the AAF. I think now again, I give the AAF a lot of crap, and I know that, and I apologize to you a lot of you AAF fans. The thing about the AAF is the perception of the AAF. It has nothing for me to do with I'm against it. Now, granted, I did not like any of the... I think the best logo was the... I would have taken the San Antonio Commanders. That one I thought was okay. The rest of them I thought were garbage. I didn't like them at all. It was hard for me to even try to find a team that I liked with the logo. I liked Spurrier from day one, and they kept winning. And so that was fine with me. They also had Jalen Marshall on the team, which was a Buckeye, so that was cool. I think he caught the very first touchdown in the AAF. But anyways, it's the perception. the AAF came out and said that they're a minor league. The XFL needs to do nothing with saying about minor league. They don't have to put anything out there. Listen, they know where they stand right now, and if you set the ceiling at minor league, you're never going to go any higher than minor league. But if you just say, listen, we're trying to put out the best football that we can, then you can break through that ceiling and you can be whatever. You don't have to live in these boxes. I'm tired of putting our sports in boxes, and that you have to be this or that or whatever. I mean, soccer is a great example. They don't do that. Now, granted, we know that, if you're going to play at the top tier of soccer, there are these leagues that you're going to play in. Now, in the next tier down, you're going to play in these. But you see guys will go on loan, and they'll go to this and play for this team, which is in a lower league. Then they'll go over here, play here, and this and that. And it flows nice, and it can get convoluted and weird with it. But the idea is that we just want football. Give me good football and let it be what it is. Professional football. Hey, how about that? Don't have to name something major league, minor league, this and that. Guys are getting paid, therefore they're professionals, i.e. professional football players. And let's just put out the best dang product we can, and let's make it worth something instead of putting the moniker minor league on it, and that these games then don't mean anything, and that all they are is that they're just another extension of a preseason so that guys can get ramped up to go somewhere else. That was the thing with the AAF that bothered me, is that you watched guys and all they looked out for was themselves with it. And you could tell. You listen to the players, the way they talk about the AAF, and you listen to the way the players talked about the XFL. The XFL was a brotherhood. They were fighting together. Now, granted, they were all fighting for a purpose to make more money and to have a career in football. But they were a band of brothers as they went through it. The AAF, not the case. Everybody was out for themselves, and you showed it. The teams really weren't cohesive as teams. Teams were getting better as they were going. It was disjointed. Everybody was trying to get somewhere else. They didn't really want to be in the AAF. They just kind of ended up there. And the guys in the XFL, they're all trying to get better, and they knew that. But they knew that they were in the XFL. They knew that they were going to be there for that season. And, so I really commend the XFL for doing that. And I don't mean, Chris, I think you come up with a lot of great stuff. I'm very adamant about that. So I apologize. Let's see. McAfee win 2-3 falls. Let's see. Okay. I got to go back up. This thing's getting out of control for me. I think that McAfee needs to have a dispute and settle it in the wrestling ring. Dude, McAfee probably has a good 50 pounds on me and 6 inches at least, if not more. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't have anything against Pat McAfee. I don't know what happened with him in the XFL. He was really high on the XFL, and then he just got really sour on the XFL. So I don't know if ESPN did him wrong in that deal with that. I don't know. Man, I get no love for the scrappy little guy. Hell, whatever, guys. Have you seen the new Mean Streak? I probably haven't. It's been a few years since I've been to Cedar Point. Disaster Transport. Yep, awesome. Yeah, the NFL is planning to cut players. Will they come to the XFL? Yeah, they'll come. No problem. The replacements with Ted Theodore Logan at quarterback. Sorry, my mind, when I hear replacements, it goes to Shane Falco. And the funny thing is like Keanu Reeves. Do you know, like, in a lot of his movies, he always plays in, like, if he's like a sports guy or something, he always plays an ex-Ohio State quarterback. I don't know if you guys knew that he, like, again, Buckeye. He here it is. But he was All-American Buckeye quarterback, won the Rose Bowl for him or whatever. I mean, what is that? I always get the name of the movie wrong. The one with him and Patrick Swayze. Is it Point Break? I don't know. What's another one that movies that my wife loves? But yeah, he always plays a Ohio State quarterback. Yeah, I would love to have. I need to maybe get for behind here, like a Shane Falco and a Johnny F in Utah jerseys back there, Ohio State jerseys. That would be kind of funny. LA should stay in LA due to the Rock's ties to LA and Hollywood, then potential expansion to. I mean, I'm okay. I didn't think LA was as bad as what people made it out to be, but it was their last home game. I don't know. The fans just were kind of. Oh, Bill and Ted. Okay. Sorry, it's been a while since I watched Bill and Ted. That makes sense now. Okay. I was like, video is frozen crap. Well, hold on, guys. So you guys can still hear me on the audio? Hopefully. Probably, sorry about that, guys. Let's see here. Let me know down in the comments if you can still hear me. LA fans are too jaded. Oh, that's funny. Let's see here. Night, Jeremy. Glad to have you, man. So, yep, I can. Okay. Cool. Haha, funny. Freeze, yeah. Sorry, guys. I don't know. I was kind of streaming it from my phone and doing that, so I don't know what. I was kind of doing a phone thing and this with it, so I don't know if I think I'm back up. See if it's unfrozen. We'll see how this works and that with it. So we had fun. Audio good. Hey, one of the things you got to remember, and people don't realize this, video can suck, but audio has to be good. It's so funny. You can have a beautiful picture, but the audio suck, and you'll lose people like nobody's business. But you have good audio, and people will stay around even if it's crappy video. Don't know why. Don't get it. That's just life. I mean, it's funny, you talk about audio and stuff. If you ever watch those videos where they remove all the music out of Star Wars and how awkward and weird it is, that's hilarious. All right, guys, I've got 3 minutes. I'm going to be on here for a little bit longer, and we'll do some of the stuff. Hey, Roman 017, glad to have you. Do you think since The Rock will bring on his brand and dress the XFL teams, perhaps Under Armour being the brand? Dude, that would be sweet. I would love to have Under Armour. If you watch my videos, I wear a lot of Under Armour stuff. When Nike decided to go the way that they went, I quit buying Nike. I do like some Adidas stuff. I have some Adidas stuff. It's okay. Under Armour's kind of where I went. And I know they do kind of some stuff too, but they don't necessarily throw everything in your face like Nike does. And so I've definitely gone to Under Armour, and I love wearing it. I work out in Under Armour all the time. That's pretty much, I exclusively wear Under Armour shoes. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. So I would love Under Armour to do that. And like I said, I love their stuff. I love their shirts. I love their sweatshirts. I love, their shoes and all that. Boo, laugh out loud. Having Under Armour uniforms would be dope since The Rock's ties with the Under Armour. Yeah, you need more of these. You mean the... more of these in the live chats? Seeing his bull logo on the uniforms would be awesome. The Brahma bull is pretty awesome. I will have to give him that. Yeah, you're gonna have to do a video on Danny. What do you want me to do on Danny? Just her accolades and stuff? Because some people, that's the one thing, I give people their due. that I'm not somebody who is going to sit here and I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to give somebody their due. And the stuff that she's done, she gets her dues, and it has nothing about me trying to be like PC or woke or trying to hit up some fan base or something like that. Like she's done decently well and ran successful business endeavors, and you got to give her credit for it. So yeah, her background. Yeah, maybe I could do some of that stuff. Maybe I'll go back to doing some live chats. This has been really, really fun. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it kind of there for tonight, guys. And maybe we'll try one next week. Maybe we can get some more guys, some more people that want to try us. Yeah, she's a very smart one. Listen, I give people their due. That's the thing. Like, people, like, I love Star Wars for what Star Wars was. Princess Leia, she is awesome. She was amazing, and I loved her character. There's been a lot of the Wonder Woman movie. Fantastic. It's a woman. Who cares? It was a great movie, great actors. The way that they did it, it was fantastic. And to me, it does. We don't have to show all this stuff. If you give me a good story, or give me like good sports, like good football, I'm gonna watch it. And that's pretty much about it. There are hundreds of young football players that deserve to play the game, and they love, even if less money than $100,000 is good money. Have a good night. Have a good night too. And you know what? We'll leave it at that right there. That's the misconception that I don't think people get. If you told me right now I could do what I love and you would pay me, let's say $50,000 to $100,000 a year to do what I love, to make money at it, heck yes, I would do that. To follow my dream, heck yes, I would do that. And anybody tell you otherwise, obviously has let go of their dreams. And you know what? Let's leave it there for the night. Guys, I'm encouraging you guys, follow your dreams. You're never too old to have fun, to pursue things, to enjoy life. Especially in times like these, you need to enjoy life. All right, guys, I'm going to use my patented call out and finish things off for the night, because I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.